So we're going to kick off with the government, 77 million over the next 3 years into search and rescue sector, 624,000 into the aviation safety. The funding will support 12 key organisations and bolster air safety measures in unattended aerodromes across New Zealand. The biggest chunk will go to land, sea and rescue with about 30.1 mil, followed by Maritime New Zealand, 17.2, and the good old Coast Guards, 11.3 million. Associate Transport Minister James Meager says the investment is crucial. We have one of the most challenging search and rescue zones in the world. Last year alone, 152 lives were saved. 794 people were rescued, and over 11,000 people, 80% of them volunteers, were involved in the effort. And the Minister joins me now. James, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Leah. Great to be here.
Hey, this is a pretty decent investment into search and rescue and aviation. What prompted the timing of it, James? Has the sector been crying out for more funding?
Well, it's always important that we support our search and rescue organisations. So you'll know that Kiwis love our outdoors. We love to get out on our boats and in the rivers and go for a walk through the bush. And, you know, when we get into a bit of trouble, it's basically our volunteer-led search and rescue organisations that pick us up. So they always need support. They always need some funding for their gear and for their training. And the government, through the Land Transport Management Act, provides some of that funding. So when you go and you fill up your boat or you fill up your recreational aircraft, the fuel you use attracts excise, and the government takes an equivalent of that excise and pumps it back into search and rescue activities. So that's what we've announced over the past couple of days.
Right. Land search and rescue got the biggest slice. Is that based on demand, James, or simply they've been stretched the most, cover the most land?
Yeah, well, they've got one of the tougher jobs is that they've got a large variety of environments. You think of, we've got everything from our alpine rescues to cliffs and caves, and then urban search and rescue as well. And you think of some of those examples we've heard of recently around older people who go missing because they get confused or tend to get lost. They're all our volunteers, our land search and rescue volunteers. So they get a good chunk of funding to support the personal protective equipment. And I was down in Dunedin announcing this yesterday, and I had a look at some of the gear that they've got. And some of the jackets are well worn, starting to leak. And those big slides that, you'll be in the bush and they'll put you into to carry out or winch you up in the helicopter. Some of the padding around that is worn through, and some of the plastic's just no good anymore. So really important that we invest in some of that PPE in order to keep them safe, but also to keep those victims safe when they're out being rescued.
Haven't been winched out to safety yet, James, but you never know. Could still happen.
Well, not not voluntarily, I don't think, and not by accident either.
And at least I know now they'll be nicely padded.
Yeah, that's right. But they do, by the way, once a fortnight, the search and rescue guys do go out and train. So I'm sure they're always looking for volunteers to do some bit of live practice. So if you want to put your hand forward, Leah, I can put you in touch with the right people.
Nice. Hey, 80% of people involved are volunteers. I mean, that's phenomenal and great news. Do we do enough, do you think, to support and recognise them properly?
I think probably not. I think that the contribution they make to, not only the work that they do, but also the economic contribution they make is never really very well recognised. We have our volunteer week, and there's always the stats that come out through the community and voluntary sector. But we just quite frankly wouldn't be able to have the search and rescue services without them. If you think 11,000 people, 80% of them are volunteers. If we were in a position where they were all professionalised and, we're full-time employees, we just wouldn't be able to do the work. We wouldn't be able to cover the territory. So a lot of thanks go to them. And so when you're next at your surf lifesaving club, or you're down on the beach in the summer and you see those lifesavers or the Coast Guard, go up and say hello and just thank them for what they do. They really do appreciate it. They don't do it for the thanks or the kudos. They do it as part of their part-time. They do it after work. They do it because they love being part of the community. So I think you're right. We need to acknowledge and appreciate them more. And if there's a little bit of contribution that we can make as taxpayers to support the work that they do, I think that's well earned.
Let's look at the aviation safety side, 624,000. What are the main concerns at unattended aerodromes? Are pilots? They're not reporting close calls, are they?
No, not really. It's just about you've got to maintain the training and the instrument procedures at those unattended aerodromes. So it's a bit different. Most people fly in and out of regional centres where there's some sort of air traffic controller. Where you're at an unattended aerodrome, it's up to you and your training and the procedures that you go through to make sure you're calling out at the right times, that everyone else in the area knows when you're coming into land. So, and there's the vast majority of aerodromes are unattended. So making sure that the Federation can deliver updated procedures just means that we're all as up to date with what to do, how to call out, when we can land, when we need to go around, so that we do avoid those near misses. And when they do happen, they're well and truly investigated. And the thing is that we want to make sure that we're investing in safety so that we never get to that point in the first instance.
Hey, are there parts of the country, James, that we see, the most rescue activity, or is that a bit difficult to kind of narrow down? I mean, are there any surprising hotspots?
It is hard to narrow down. It's probably not surprising. You think of the areas, the coast is a treacherous place, especially if you're, if you're surfing down the Catlins, or, you're up at even places like Piha, which is very popular but very rugged sometimes. When we go out and we don't take adequate precautions, we can get into trouble. So no real surprises. What I think is surprising is the difference that these volunteers make. You read those statistics out before. 152 people are here today that wouldn't be here if it weren't for the efforts of the Coast Guard and the surf lifesavers in search and rescue. So when you see those stories on the TV about a dinghy overturned or about how someone's been winched out of the sea, that's all our volunteers. That's all those guys who are going out there, and girls, by the way, risking some of their own safety to pick them up. So no big surprises. It's the alpine areas, it's the dense bush, it's the places where we love to go. But if we're not always totally prepared, we might get to a bit of trouble. So if there is one message out of this, it's that if you're going swimming, making sure you're a competent swimmer. If you're out in the bush, make sure people know where you're going, and take a PLB with you if you're going somewhere for any length of time.
What's the PLB?
Personal locator beacon.
Personal locator beacon.
There are those things you carry on you, and if you get into trouble, you're supposed to flick it off. And I think the message from Search and Rescue would be they'd rather pick up someone slightly embarrassed than pick up someone who's really in trouble. So if in doubt, flick it off. You might be a little bit sheepish that you got picked up on a trail rather than down a ravine, but at the end of the day, if we get you home safely, that's the main thing.
So my husband wants to get me one of those when I go on my girl lunches in the weekends. Just because I'll be only
he might want to start with one of those Apple AirTags so that he knows how far away you are, and then when you need to get picked up.
I'm gone for like a day. Not really. But hey, on the serious side though, James, you did mention 152 lives saved, 794 people rescued. Is there anything in the budget for educating people? Because you said tell people where you're going, have your PLBs. You know, a lot of people get into trouble, James, because they're just idiots.
Yeah. So
they wander off in jandals and shorts and no water. I mean, what do we do with those people?
A lot of the funding, goes into training for volunteers, but a significant amount of it does go into those education campaigns. So if you look at some of the stuff that Maritime New Zealand receives, a lot of the work they do is in the preventive space in those activities. If you think of what we actually cover, we cover 50 million square kilometres in terms of our maritime search and rescue.
Wow.
That's hard to picture, but it's 1/12 of the world's surface area up to the Pacific, all the way down to the Antarctic. So they can't, the money that they have can't stretch to them just constantly be going out to rescuing people. So a bit of education around boat safety, a bit of education, the basic stuff, swim between the flags. We all know that. Sometimes we forget it now and then. If you're going out for a walk, get in contact with your local mountain safety council maybe, and make sure that people know where you're going. But I think you're right, investing a bit in that education space through schools or through your tramping club or through your local boatie club.
Our visitors, James, a lot of people that that fly into our country haven't come from countries that have all this land. I don't know if it's a big deal for because I mean, someone said to me once, why don't we fine people that have gone bush, and then hundreds of people have gone out all the night, sent out helicopters, dogs. We find the person, and they're like, "Oh, gee, sorry, I just took a wrong turn," and it's because I mean, is it because then people may be too scared to ask for help? Why is there not some kind of fining for this?